Hey everybody, it's Peter from the Kia Hyundai channel. Welcome to our live video series. You guys asked for this and we got it back. This is the Hyundai Kona N. It is the performance version, and we did a review of this, which I kind of call a quickie review. We did about a half-an-hour review of the car, but one of the things we wanted to talk about and get into detail with more was the technology in this car. And because you guys have asked, I get to have it back, and we're going to do a technology review of this car. So we're basically going to go over a whole bunch of things that the other reviews don't show you, and hopefully I'll understand most of it. There's a few things I'm sure I won't, and we'll at least know what to dig into from there. So if you've never joined us before, we do these videos live every single weekday at 2 o'clock Eastern time. If you're not watching at that time and you just want to skip ahead to the content of this video, you can skip ahead to the 3-minute mark if you want. In the meantime, we're going to talk about some news, some notes, and I'm going to show you how to join us live if that's what you want to do. So feel free to stick around or skip ahead, whatever you want to do. All right, right now, if you want to join us live, you can see this is our channel at 2 o'clock exactly Eastern time. It looks like this unless you refresh the page, which we're doing right now, and you will see the live video take over that main spot right there. So, oh no, more French. Bonjour, comment ça va? Ça va bien. Okay, so we're going to click in. I went home and I told my kids yesterday that I had to speak French, so now they're learning more French in school because I don't speak French very well, but I try to understand what I can in the comment section, so I'll do my best. All right, so what we've got here is, if you refresh the page, you will see that, and of course it ran an ad, and there's us looking at us. If you are in Ontario and you're looking to buy a car, do me a favor, connect with me through the link in the description. I'll connect you with our sales team from Brantford Kia, Brantford Hyundai, or Owen Sound Hyundai. Those are the 3 dealers that support us, and they will take care of you as if you were family. And I mean that because I punish them. So it says, is the air conditioning super cold? No, actually. Oh, on this car? I don't know. I just drove it in minus a whole bunch of degrees temperature, so I have no idea. I have not tried the air conditioning on this car. All right, news and notes. The biggest car that we've been waiting for probably since I've been here, maybe since the Stinger, maybe even more than the Stinger, is the Kia EV6. It is on its way here right now. I don't think it'll show up during our video, but it will show up today, which means, or it should show up today, which means I will have it here tomorrow. So Google, or I'm reading somebody else's, Google Translate. There we go. I'll use Google Translate sometimes today. Thank you, Eleanor. I'll do my best to answer your questions. So anyways, it is showing up here today, which means tomorrow it will be EV6 day. Friday will probably also be EV6 day. We'll probably do 2 days in a row of the EV6. I'll consider making some small videos on it, shorter stuff as well as we go through. Lots to get through on that car, and we're going to figure that out. So that is the biggest news that's going on right now. And if we can announce anything new, we will, but that's what's going on. In the meantime, if you're a regular with us, do me a favor, hit the like button right now for me. If you're not a regular, I'll try to earn your like, and we'll go through from there. But we got almost the 3-minute mark already, so we're going to get going right now. All right. 3 minutes in, this is the 2022 Hyundai Kona N. Now, those of you that are a little unfamiliar, just a quick little recap of where we're at. Like I said, I did a review of this vehicle in the past. Some people, including me sometimes, continue to mess up what the Kona N is. There is a Kona N and there's a Kona N line. The N line is sporty looking, but the N is racetrack ready. And that's really the difference between the two. The N line is probably more of a mainstream car, probably more right for most of you who are watching this video. However, the N model here can be very aggressive riding. It does have summer tires, which are very slippery in the cold weather. And it is a pretty awesome car. And as you know, there is a Veloster N and an Elantra N. Both of those cars are probably better for pure track cars, and it seems to me that people get in debates with me about why this car exists, or, you know, it's too tall, it shouldn't be this and that. And the reality is, this car is an absolute blast to drive. And yes, ultimate performance, if you were going to make an ultimate performance car, the Veloster N sits a little lower to the ground. It's probably a little bit lighter. It's going to be a better ultimate pure performance car. And there will be better pure performance cars out there. But this thing is an absolute blast to drive. It's all about fun. It is an extremely good performance vehicle, and the fact that a manufacturer makes this car is kind of amazing. So the story of this car is that it puts a smile on your face, and we're going to walk through how you can use this car to just make yourself laugh every single day, and that's kind of what it's all about. And again, it's not only about putting a smile on your face, it is also very much about performance, and it is a very good performing car. So let's dig in. Again, this is more of a technology review. We'll talk about some outside stuff here in a minute, but let's just dig into some of the technology that this car has. Now, I'll admit, I am not an entertainer. I am an informer. I will inform you about this car. There's no way to make these videos entertaining, especially when we start digging into the tech. But I do hope you stick with us for some time through this next little bit as we show you some of the things that just kind of make this car cool. So again, overall technology, there's all the safety and other stuff that you have in a lot of the other Hyundai vehicles. The car is capable of steering for itself, same as many cars are in this class, especially from Hyundai and Kia. So it has a lane keep, lane follow system, so it can follow the lane, keep centered in the lane. None of those things are going to matter to the performance person. And if you're the kind of person that kind of likes customizing your iPhone or playing with your Android phone, this is a kind of car that you're just going to enjoy hopping in and figuring out. All right. So again, technology-wise, a lot of things going on here. The welds in this car, many weld points are enhanced, and there's many more weld points. They strengthen just the frame. So it's not just a bolt-on system that you can turn your regular Kona into this. It is sort of essentially from the ground up reworked to be a performance vehicle. So let's jump in and take a look at what we've got going on here. First of all, it is push button start. I'm only going to tap it twice without my foot on the brake. We're going to turn the climate system off so we save some battery life. And what you have is a couple cool things. So this is basically standard Kia and Hyundai stuff. Well, actually, I should say standard Hyundai stuff right now. If I zoom in a little bit, you'll see the focus on the gauges there. Those are the standard gauges. I actually have the same gauge cluster pretty much in my Santa Cruz. Ignore fuel efficiency. Again, this car's been idling a bunch, so don't worry about that. But you have basically the same gauge cluster in the Santa Cruz, in the Tucson, in many other vehicles, and in the other Konas as well. Now, you will notice that the red line here is normally just above about 6,750 there, so 6,000. But you'll see there's a yellow line. That yellow line can be down to 5,000 if you want. One of the technology things that this car does, because it is a performance-oriented vehicle, and because you have these digital gauges, it uses the gauges well. It basically lowers your red line and says, hey, don't drive up that high when this car is still cold because, you know, obviously it's like red line car. So it allows the car to warm up before it gives you maximum red line there, which is just kind of a cool little addition to the gauges there that you don't always notice right away. So in here, let's just take a quick look at what you have. Obviously, the typical stuff through this area here, driver attention alert, driver attention level, excuse me. Down here, these are different. This is where you start getting into some of the performance stuff. So I have things set to Celsius for temperature, engine temperature, oil temperature, which you can customize. You can throw them up there. This is PSI and foot-pounds of torque. Now, you can change these, and we'll show you how to do that later. So this is a real instant layout or instant display screen of your torque and your turbo pressure. Coming down here, you have a lap timer there, lap 1, and it's okay to start the button. So again, I'm just going to use some terrible camera work here. You just press this button in there to hit the OK, and I'm tapping this button up and down to move between the levels. The font is very good. It's very large font, very clear. And then here's your G-force. So there's a little circle in the middle, and as I drive around, it's going to come forward, back, and everywhere, which is kind of cool. So those are the unique things in the N line. Moving back over here, same stuff as you would have in a lot of regular cars. So there's your fuel efficiency again. A lot of this time is idling, so fuel efficiency. This is all regular Hyundai stuff right now. Digital speedometer there. Same thing if your navigation system was navigating you somewhere, you could go to this screen and you could have navigation information right there on the screen and an information display, which in this car only does one thing. It only shows your tire pressure monitors. In this particular car, it's going to show, well, in all of our cars now, it's going to show the individual PSI or kilopascals or whatever you want of each tire once you start to drive. So it's going to list right beside the tire the actual PSI of the tire, which is handy because if your tires, like, you're never going to keep it on that display unless you have a concern, but it will tell you what each tire is. So that's the basics here. Now we're going to skip into stuff that's a little bit more, in my mind, a little bit more exciting right now. So first of all, if I switch it to a drive mode, there's lots of ways to do that. So I'll tap this right now. There you go, your drive modes. You've got eco, normal, and sport. So again, normal is those white gauges that the camera has a hard time with, and sport mode right there. So you can switch to the drive modes. There's also traction modes here. Let's switch to the traction modes. We're gonna go snow there, deep snow, mud, and sand. Now, why do they have mud and sand mode in this vehicle? I have no idea. You don't want to drive this through mud or sand, but in theory, it'll give you a little bit more traction, and that could be helpful. So tap the button over here. We'll show you that button in a second. We'll go back to the drive modes, and we're going to leave it in the eco mode. When you change the eco mode, not only does the engine, transmission, everything else change, but the suspension changes. It is a much more livable ride in eco mode. And a lot of people jump on me and say eco mode's the boring mode, and you're right in most of our cars. In this car, eco mode is a normal drive around town mode. Because this car has so much power, because it's, you know, so almost high strung and geared for excitement, it is going to be a a little bit, eco mode is going to be a little bit more of a normal mode for most people to drive in. So that is something to keep in mind. So there is that. Now let's zoom out a little further here and look at the steering wheel here. Now, normal steering wheel stuff over here, you've got the star button, which you can customize. You can actually customize the mode button on this car as well. Volume and track control, that kind of thing. Audio controls essentially over here. Over on this side, again, normal Hyundai stuff. You've got your cruise control stuff over here. Just moving through the menus left to right on the menus up top there, left to right across there. You're using this button here, and up and down you're selecting and pressing into OK. This is your lane follow assist button. Now, on this particular car, I love lane follow assist for a long drive. It is definitely something you're going to want to turn off on this car, because as you start driving and you're handling, you're going to want the car to not stay centered in the lane. You're going to want to hug the lane markers left and right, and that's why it's nice to have it there. Now, this used to be the NGS button on some of the old Velocitors, but they've switched that up, and the NGS is in the N Grin Shift. Gives you 20 seconds of essentially enhanced or full power. It revs it up, it gets ready to go. It is all about full power. It is very similar to many Porsches that I have driven in the past. They have a button that does the very same thing. Gives you 20 seconds of sort of overboost and power, and puts it in just full sports performance. And it's pretty fun to use. And it does exactly what it says, grin shift. It makes it grin. So then you've also got two buttons down here, an N and an N. Both of these are customizable, but from the factory, they set up to be the left side one. So that's, again, the left side one here is only going to switch you between drive modes. So you have the eco, the normal, and the sport. You can't go to traction modes. If you wanted to go to traction modes, you'd have to use this button down here. So drive and traction, you could tap that in and switch to traction modes. But again, from the factory, it's going to come, and that's just going to switch your drive mode. So we're going to put it back in eco there. And this one is going to put you into a performance mode. So that's the right side one is going to put you into a performance mode. And check out that dash. It really splits up. And again, that yellow line will disappear, but let's just back it over there again. So this is your eco mode. Try to get the whole dash in here. There we go. Eco mode there. Tap it here. And boom, you get some cool graphics, and you have that N performance mode there. But these are all customizable. You can see also your steering, engine steering, and suspension's kind of ratcheted right up there. So all of the information you would need, stability control in the sport setting, so it's not fully off, but it does allow you to have some fun. But yeah, very cool. And again, that's your gear shift. So when I put it in drive, it'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And also your, actually, I think it says D1. I can't remember. I have to remember driving it again. And then over here. And then the other thing it changes is your heads-up display, which is a little hard to film. So the camera will have trouble focusing on it. Well, there we go. We did pretty good. So let's switch it back over to normal drive modes. There's normal, everyday Hyundai stuff, typical stuff in your heads-up display. And then again, sports performance, you have it jump in like that. And then again, on this one, your gear shifts are, or your gears are listed on the right-hand side, 1 through 8 on those little dots there. And they normally highlight, of course, we're in park right now. So again, kind of a cool system, just technology-wise, how that all works. But now let's switch over to this screen and take a look at how we can customize a lot of this stuff. So normal display screen, it's more of an artistic rendition of anything. This is essentially your navigation, but it's not my favorite. It's just artistic. Swiping over to here, and you can have full navigation. Like if you want to get into the nav, you can do various things, or sorry, map is how you would get to that map. You can go 1/3, 2/3, you can have full screen, that kind of thing. All kinds of different things you can do. We're going to click into this N mode right here. So clicking into the N mode, and get this cool little graphic display, and then things start to come up, and you can customize a lot of these things, right? So we can sit there and customize, okay, throttle right now is where we're at, 0%, whatever. You can switch it to whatever one of these things you want, and each of these things will be in that display. So throttle percentage, you know, your passengers can see, oh, you're only at half throttle. Wow. So you never, you know, when you tell your friends, they, you know, that was only half throttle. In this car, that's a real experience where people are sitting there going, wow. And you can prove to them that was only half throttle. So kind of a cool thing to do. But again, because you can customize these, maybe your friends aren't going to be impressed with this. You may want something like the oil temperature in the dash, but you may want something like the lap timer up there, or the tachometer, or whatever else. You can customize some of these things. Brake pressure, which is a fun thing to have up there just to show your friends, you know, how everything works. So you can customize these, putting them in different areas. There's larger blocks and smaller blocks, but you can go further into this as well. So now what we have is the custom 1 setting. So because everything here can be customized, you just kind of really can customize up. So again, from the factory, this goes into custom 1 or custom 2 or whatever you want to set it to. We'll switch that in a second, but you can have 2 custom drive modes here. So in the custom one setting right now, the way it's set up is basically everything is full on crazy except for your stability control. Your stability control is, you know, not quite set up. So everything's got 3 settings except for the electronic limited slip differential, which is 2 settings. And that can be ratcheted up or down. Heads up display can be the sport or the normal, that kind of thing. So let's say that we wanted to have the engine in crazy, the sport in crazy, but the suspension a little bit softer here. Well, they could have that softer suspension here, or you could have it sort of mid-level or higher. So you can kind of customize these all up. And if we tap the custom one here, you can now go through and it gives you a little bit of an explanation of everything. So for instance, in the suspension setting, maximum suspension stiffness for best possible handling provides an aggressive regulation of the suspension damping force, offering maximum vehicle rigidity, suitable for dynamic and track race driving. So heading to the track, absolutely you want the stiffest suspension. Sometimes it's fun on the road too, but super stiff suspension gets old. I don't care who you are. So you can customize that out and still have some fun, but have a better ride in the car. And again, you can hit the engine and it tells you what normal is. It tells you what sport is. It tells you what sport plus is. So steering, same thing. There's normal, there's sport, and there's sport plus. So you can go through the whole thing. This transmission's pretty cool too. Normal is kind of normal, sport plus, and then these, or Sport and Sport Plus, allows the highest engine RPMs to maximize vehicle performance, suitable for dynamic. Yeah, same type of thing. Go through here, limited slip, stability control, you can see. You should want to turn it off. No, we're not right now. So again, it tells us what all these things do. Exhaust sound as well is a fun one. So provides balanced exhaust sound for everyday driving. So this is kind of a thing where you could still make it fun to drive and then quietly go through your neighborhood, or you could just like make it full loud. So if you always wanted it fun to drive, but you didn't want to be as loud through the neighborhood, you could do that. So just kind of a cool way to customize all this stuff up. And once you've done custom 1, you can tap over here, do custom 2, and set that up differently. And of course, you can access that from over here. But that is not the only thing we're going to do. Let's go back over here for a second. We will take your questions in a second, guys. Just bear with me here. We're going through some stuff. Let's go over to the, where am I here? Let's go to the setup of the car. Let's go to the button. Normally what this button does is it allows you to set up the star button right here, which I like to use for my Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Pull it on. On this car, it is a wired connection because it's a 10.25-inch screen. It's not wireless on this car. And it also allows you to set up this star button over here and some of those other things. But of course, you guys aren't interested in that today. You're interested in the left steering wheel N button and the right steering wheel N button. So you can customize them. So left steering wheel N button right now is set to drive modes, but you could make it into custom 1 or custom 2. So in other words, you could set up your car so that at the touch of a button, this is economical and normal, and this is ridiculous, or whatever you want. And then you have 2 buttons right there. You may want to have them set up for your starting and ending of your lap timer. You may want to set it up just for drive mode. So again, I think it makes sense to have one of them set to drive modes, but again, drive modes is a custom button down here as well. So you could switch through your drive modes here, go eco, sport, normal, or and then traction modes there. So again, I don't know that you need your left side set up as drive modes. You could set up for whatever you want. Right steering wheel button has the same options there, and it's currently set to custom 1. You can set up your home, the star button here on the radio. So navigation system could be any one of these things here: Bluetooth audio, Bluetooth phone projection, all kinds of stuff. Turning the display on and off at night, sometimes people want that. Steering wheel button does the same thing. So just some cool stuff. The mode button, like I said, you can customize what goes there. The volume and tune knob, you can do various things with it as well. So lots of custom buttons to set up in there. And then the other thing I like to do is, let's go to General. And let's go to, I think it's units. There we go. So this car, when it comes from the factory, the speed is set to kilometers. You can switch it to miles. Temperature set to Celsius. You can switch it to Fahrenheit. Liters per 100 kilometers is standard mileage measurement here. But again, power can be PS or HP, so horsepower as we understand it there. So let's switch it to horsepower. Tire pressure is PSI, could be kilopascal, could be bar. Torque was set up from the factory as Newton meter. Canadians don't tend to use Newton meters that much. We understand foot pounds just like you Americans do. So you can switch that there. And turbo boost, same thing. You can have it PSI, kilopascal, or boost. So you can set the units up, and that matters when you do things like we had over here. Let's go back to drive modes here, and let's go back to where we are. There we go. So for instance, there's your engine temperature, but then of course, where was it? There we go. Turbo and torque. So torque is in foot-pounds instead of PSI. So we're 20 minutes in. So do me a favor, guys. We got about 50 people on. I get it. This video is not for everybody. do me a favor, hit the like button. Let's see if we can get to 60 likes. That's 14 more people can like it. Let's jump over. I'm going to take your questions right now. We'll come back in. We'll talk about some technology features. We're going to go mainly safety, unless you have some questions about the performance. We'll continue to go on some of the unique stuff that maybe other videos aren't showing you. So turn the car off for a second. See if my light will turn on when I jump out of the car here. Oh, come on, light. You can do it. Doesn't like me very much today. There we go. Okay. The light is turned on. All right, so what I'm going to do is going to take your questions here and see how we can go. Is there a custom mode for driving? Yeah, so essentially the custom 1, custom 2 modes, you can do that. Ambient lights, good question. There's not ambient lighting on this vehicle that I have seen. So I think it would have been a cool addition to have in this car. But I guess they're saying let's focus purely on performance, less on some of those details. So they didn't do that. In the US, it comes with 2 years of free Oh, you're talking about a totally different car. So let's talk about that separately. TPMS should be standard equipment. I have it on, yeah, TPMS is pretty much standard equipment on most of what we sell now. Certainly it is standard on this one as well. Somebody said they thought terrain modes were only in the all-wheel drive models of Hyundai and Kia vehicles. They are. They were. Terrain mode has only been an all-wheel drive thing until the Kona N. I don't know why they did it. I don't have an issue with them putting the snow mode in here. I think that's necessary. The deep snow mode, as it does require some changes in there. There's no need to have a sand mode or a mud mode on this car. If you're driving through sand or mud, you probably did that by mistake, unless you're camping and you go through some mud. But again, without all-wheel drive, is it really going to make a huge difference? I guess it can use that electronic limited slip differential. I guess there's things it can do. Essentially, the terrain you want to drive this car on is dry pavement. If you happen to have to drive on a wet day, it is what it is. You don't want these tires on a cold day like it is. It's got to be minus something today. It's very cold outside today. These tires are slippery on dry pavement with the cold. Oh, somebody pointed out the Venue has terrain modes too, and I was just going to get to that. The Venue is the only other 2-wheel drive car. It doesn't have full terrain modes. It just has the snow mode. I don't think it goes through the mud and the sand, although I could be wrong on that. Last time I saw it, it only had a snow mode. So yeah, it does have the snow mode in many of our cars, but it does not go for, it's not something that I recommend. It's just something I don't think you should drive this car in snow or mud. All right, what else we got on here? One wouldn't buy this vehicle without the TPMS. Okay, so TPMS, yeah, you've got it. You can't get it without the TPMS here. On the train, somebody's got an N line Ultimate coming. Cool, that's cool. Is this N still on the second N platform like the Veloster or the third platform like the Elantra N? So this is the new Kona platform. Let's just put it that way. I don't know if you want to go second, third, whatever it is. So the 2022 Kona has been updated, and this is the current updated platform. You can tell by the look on the front and back it's cleaned up, but again, I'm more of a Kia Hyundai nerd, and I can tell at a glance, whereas other people may not be able to notice the difference. Some people have trouble identifying between the N line and this. The red line is an indication there, but there is a difference here. The spoiler's an indication. It doesn't look crazy out there, especially in this black color. I mean, when you get it in the racing blue, then that's a different situation. So yeah, it does look a little different. Obviously, the red brake calipers with the N, that's a big hit because the brakes are much larger on this than on traditional Kona as well. And these wheels are unique, even though the other wheels are similar. So there we go. Somebody says, more of an EV fan, but I think they did an amazing job with this vehicle. Yeah, I'm an EV fan too. We're going to have one here tomorrow. But this vehicle overall fascinates me. It is a vehicle that came here from the factory ready for the racetrack, and they don't do that. I mean, Kia's performance car is the Stinger, and although I've been on the racetrack for it, there's not an argument that that is a racetrack car. You could easily say this is a racetrack car. It is very much like driving around a go-kart, and especially with the ability to stiffen and soften the suspension. Stiffening it up, it is just a firm racetrack ready ride, and it makes it fun. All right, let's talk some safety stuff for a second here. The big thing I want to talk about is this little camera right there. This is standard in a lot of Kia and Hyundai vehicles right now, and it does a lot depending on the different vehicles that it has. The big thing is it gives you forward collision avoidance. Now, when I say forward collision avoidance, what I mean is it is capable of avoiding a collision. It doesn't necessarily mean it will. It can avoid or minimize a collision, and that's a big safety feature. It helps with insurance, but it sees things in front of you. And on some cars, they have radar plates in front. This one doesn't, so it can see a few less things with that. But the big thing that also does is allows it to see lane markers And you can have the lane keeping assist on this car set up all the time unless you're on a racetrack, because it will allow you to go to the lane marker, maybe a hair outside lane marker, before it will nudge you back in. And you can customize how that works, but for most people, I think that's the way it works. Lane follow assist allows it to center itself in the lane. And then when you set this up to soften the suspension up and go on a long drive, set the cruise control, and then lane follow assist allows you to center itself in the lane, it just takes all the stress out of a longer drive. It's a really nice feature to have, and it makes it really comfortable. And even on this car, I recommend it. I just happen to like that the button to turn it on and off is on the steering wheel, as it is with most every Kia and Hyundai that has it. It's on the steering wheel, and you can turn it on or off, and this is one that you would want to. I do want to show you lighting here because they do a good job with the LEDs out front, and overall, I want to point out a couple little technology things about the lighting here as well. So the lighting, of course, is LED lighting, and a lot of people think that these are the LED headlights up here. They are not. Those are LED daytime running lights. It's hard to show them in this room here as there's so much light and glare and everything else, but they are normally fairly bright, and that's what you see. Down here are your headlights, and on this car, you do have the LED. Not every Kona has the LED lights, and this one does. It makes a huge difference when you're driving at night because your brain has to interpret what it sees. And these LED lights, even though they look yellow on this wall on the camera, in my eyes, they are as white can be, and they are very bright. And because it's that natural daylight type color, when your eyes see something in the headlights, it will recognize it quicker because it doesn't have to interpret it in a different light. It just recognizes what's there, and it allows you to react quicker, as well as giving you great light, great bright spread. And not every Kona has those LEDs, so that's just a nice thing to have out front. LED signal lights just in the edge of the mirror there. If we had the signals on, you would see that. And then lighting back here as well, just a unique look, some LED lighting. Again, instant on, looks pretty cool. And of course, you have the triangular light back here, which just draws some attention again, makes it more race looking. Normally you'd have some of those red race lights down there. It's got the center light up there. Signal lights are down here as well. Very cool. Just kind of nice works. And then the thing I like about it is, although this is a full out performance car, by building it on the Kona platform, you gain things like roof racks. So you have the ability to have a small crossover. When you go camping, you can take a roof box up there, a canoe, a kayak, camping gear, cargo boxes up there, cargo cages up there. So lots of things to take your extra stuff. And again, when you soften that suspension and drive it out camping, it's perfectly fine to drive on the rougher roads. It's still a firm ride, but it's a firm, comfortable ride as opposed to a firm, aggressive ride. So let me just double check your questions again. If there's anything technology-wise you want to see, we'll do that. I'm standing here by the computer, and we'll probably keep this video a little shorter. Do you know if the 8 weeks timeline for a new Hyundai car delivery is still valid? Could be 8 weeks, could be a year, could be a lot of things. Many of our vehicles are longer than 8 weeks. Some of them are within that time range. If you're interested in a specific vehicle, connect with your dealer. If you're anywhere in Ontario, connect with me. I'll connect you to our dealers, and they'll talk to you about not only the specific vehicle, but certain models of certain vehicles can have significantly shorter waits than others. It's a crazy time out there where you do have to wait for a vehicle right now, and 8 weeks is pretty good if you can get an 8 week time frame right now, depending on the vehicle. Some of them are much shorter than others. All right, let's just jump down to the bottom here. Are the LED headlights projector or reflector? So they call these the MFR lights. They are essentially reflectors, how I would define them. They don't have projector on this one. So again, those of you that are wondering, projector lights are the best of the best from Hyundai, Kia, Genesis right now. These ones are the one step down LED lights. Now, when I say one step down, it's kind of like when your kid gets 90% and you go, where's the extra 10%? The kid did well in school. Don't question them. And it's the same thing with this. Technically, they're not the very best lights, but they are very, very, very good. So not the projector beam lights, but the, or not the projector beam LEDs, but the regular MFR LEDs is what they call them. Okay. Does this have heads-up display? Yes, it does here in Canada. I showed it a little bit earlier in the video. And hey, somebody said we got 60 likes. We did get to 60 likes. That was cool of us. How many we at? Oh, we're at 70 likes. Thanks, guys. Okay. I think that's all we have for questions. So that's kind of probably it for the review of this. Again, if there's more things we want to see, obviously I want to do a test drive of this vehicle. We're going to do some test drive videos. Right now, the weather just sucks. It's cold. This is not a car you want to drive in the cold. Just because, like I said, those summer tires, you need to swap out some winter tires if you're going to daily drive this in the cold. And a lot of people call them winter tires. They call them snow tires. On this one, you really need winter tires. You need that softer rubber compound. So there we go. Can you turn on the signal light, please? That's what somebody asked in French. So we will turn on the signal light. I am translating on the go here, so I don't read French because my pronunciation is terrible, but I understand some of it. So signal light's there. You have the LED right there. What's cool about the signal lights up here, and the camera doesn't show it very well, this again is a very white LED light. And when you turn the signal on, the white light turns to an amber light, and it is much more amber in detail right there. So you can see that a little bit there. The camera's not reproducing it the way I would like it to, but it's into my naked eyes there. It is a very amber looking light. Back here, LED signal lights as well back here, which you don't often see on the back of many of our Kia and Hyundai vehicles. So LED signal lights right there, right at the corners. And although they are a little lower, they're right in the same ballpark as that light right there. So there we go. And yeah, I think, guys, we're going to leave it right there. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. And like I said, tomorrow, a day we've all been waiting for, at least I've been waiting for quite a long time, the next generation of EVs for Kia. It'll be back. Oh, somebody says, wait, Teddy? Teddy is right over there. We're not going to do a trunk test today because it's more of technology. We'll use Teddy tomorrow as we test the EV6. So, like I said, tomorrow, EV6, big electric vehicle from Kia. It's going to be a good one. Tune in. I expect a lot of people there. Hopefully, I have a lot of questions. We're going to do 2 full days of the EV6 at 2 o'clock tomorrow, 2 o'clock on Friday, and then we'll go from there. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. It's been fun. We'll talk to you again in the next one.